Just waiting for the little button to like flash so I can see it. Oh, there we go. Look at that. We're live. And Rebecca's already first in the comments.
Yes, yes.
Hello, Rebecca. See? I told you she'd be there.
Well, I told you she'd be here. Yes.
She's always there lurking in the shadows. All right. Well, welcome, guys. We're back, and this is Spilling Ink. We're the talk show that takes you behind the book to meet the authors and professionals in the publishing industry. And as promised, we have another new to you author to introduce you to this week. And let's get started, right?
Yeah.
How are we doing,
absolutely.
Jane? How was your week?
Pretty good. I finished a short story, and Rebecca has been kind enough to beta read it twice.
All right. Okay. How many words are we talking here?
Almost 13,000.
Okay.
And she did it in like a blink.
Yeah, I don't know how she does it. She's the fastest reader I've ever met.
Yes. And she sends cohesive notes. So it's like not just fast reading, but cohesive feedback. Anyway, today we have Palomo. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Okay.
I normally get Palomo. I'm not sure how that happens, but
I forget that second or that first O. They just kind of merge it in.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your books?
Yeah. So, well, my name is Bibi, and I currently have two published books. Both are published just, as an indie author. So they're published through Amazon. And then I have a third one on the way. So my books are pretty much all paranormal romance, a lot of urban fantasy, pretty much kind of streaming the line between that new adult, young adult. So I kind of venture more towards that new adult section. Lots of, violence and gore and some romance and a little bit more details than you will get in a young adult. But
all right, we have to talk about this because we were talking about it before we went live. But you had said something about the story is actually from an old prompt you were given way back in elementary school.
Yeah. So I remember, Village Meadows, I was in the third grade. I don't even know what the prompt was. I want to say that it was just kind of like an open concept. And I was just obsessed with vampires. Like maybe Underworld was really popular around that time. I don't know what was happening, but I was like, all I want to do is write about two people that are having to go through and, hunt some vampires, and then one of them has to die. Like that's all I knew. And that's kind of what I ran with. So, I obviously my
grade,
teacher probably thought I needed
to
help.
die.
Yep.
Yeah, and then they all die.
Yeah. So A plus, but she probably also was like, I gotta watch this one.
That was my third grade book, and they all die.
I've always kind of been that way with reading too, as I felt like a lot of the books that I was reading just never really pushed that envelope. And I always wanted to go a little bit further, just maybe a little bit more detail. I'm a stickler for any like insta healing. It really bugs me. Like for some reason, I really love that like drawn out, just like kind of humanized pain. So now everybody watching also is worried about me. That's great.
Actually, the crowd that watches our show, I think you fit right in.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I think we've tallied up how many times Jane's killed somebody, and we're shocked when she doesn't. So yeah, you fit right in.
Yeah, she's throwing you for a loop if she's not, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I did write one where nobody died. Yes.
Wait.
Yes.
Did you? No, somebody had to die. All right.
No.
We're gonna have to.
No, I don't think Rebecca could tell you.
We're gonna have to cycle back to that one because I don't think.
Okay, I guess I'm reading through 61 books to figure out which one has the happy ending.
Well, some of them do have happy endings. It's just
I do love happy endings. I'm a sucker for happy ending, but you got to be really miserable through the entire thing until you got to work for it.
Earn that happy ending.
Absolutely. So where do we know where your writing ideas for that book came from. Where do your other ones come from?
Pretty much all you guys, again, you're gonna think I'm nuts, but pretty much just for my dreams, I have these really just um super detailed dreams, and I've always had this kind of ability, and I'm sure lots of people have it, right? Where you wake up and it doesn't matter if it's a nightmare, you're like, oh my gosh, I have to figure out what happens next, and I can just fall right back asleep, right to the scene that I was in, and then just continue through to get the ending. And that's how every single story I've ever written has kind of come to fruition. So it's just I'm dreaming about monsters and I need to get them on paper.
Yeah,
Rebecca
that's
says
me.
Jane kills people, brings them back to life, gives them a happy existence, then kills them again.
They're never allowed to be too comfortable.
Killed 3 people in a novella. See? You fit right in. You fit right in.
I'm always looking for the, what is going to be the saddest death, and what's the one that's hurting me the most? That's probably what's going to happen. So if you guys read my books, please don't get too invested in anybody, not even the main character, just because
Ooh.
I just, slashing people.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
George
'Cause a
R.
lot
R.
of times when you do
Martin.
read, it feels formulaic. Like you're like, oh, I know this person's going to be the villain or this person's going to survive at the end. And it kind of lessens the drama as
Yeah.
you're able to figure it out. So when it's just, hey, anybody's game,
Mhm.
you've got a reason to really follow through to the end there.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. And I
Yeah.
really love kind of flip-flopping my villains a lot too. So I try to give them, some humanity and maybe a good reason to be a villain. And I'm never I don't know, like through my stories, I'm never super content with like what any person's position is gonna be. They're always surprising me. They write the books themselves. So
Oh yeah.
So then it's
That's
safe to
always
say
fun.
you're a pantser, obviously, because that's
One-
very much in
100%.
line with the pantser style of writing.
Mhm.
And
Yep,
we-
100%. My beta readers hate me for it, and I'm sure my editor is, crying every time I send her, the 3rd or 4th draft of a manuscript, because she knows that there's going to be something I forgot to include, or just in What Lies Beyond, for example. I had like cut out a sister at some point, but she still ended up like towards the end, and she's like, "Where's the sister coming from?" I'm like, "Oh, long story."
That's what makes the writing fun, though, when you're a pantser, because you're enjoying the story as you're writing it. Like you're experiencing it in real time. Whereas if you're a plotter, you've already plotted everything out in advance. You know what's coming down the line. It's not to say one's better than the other, but I
Right.
think for those of us who are pantsers, we can't write any other way because we need to feel it in the moment.
Yes.
Oh yeah, my ADHD is going to stop me right at the plotting part. As soon as I know what's happening, I'm like, it's technically written. I'm done with it. I don't need to go back and do anything else.
And then trying to force yourself to, if like you've committed to something and you have a deadline and you've got that outline that's staring you down, you're like, but I don't wanna.
That's me now, and I feel like I'm jumping to the scenes I know that I'm gonna have the most fun writing, and even then it's super difficult because I know exactly what's happening. I understand where the dialogue's coming from, kind of like how the scene is gonna play out, and that's really just affected my ability to get the words on the paper. So it's like it's there. I'm still as excited, even though it's plotted out, but it's just my fingers aren't moving.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
I'll get past it. I'm as a pantser, I'm also a procrastinator. So as soon as that deadline's coming up, I'm like, oh shit, I gotta do this.
Let's turn this into a positive. Let's make the ADHD a superpower here. So when you're pushed to the end and you have to do it, even though you're struggling, what are some of the things you can use to help yourself get through that slogging through the mud phase of fixing it?
Honestly, I have a book writing playlist, and it kind of sounds cliche. I feel like a lot of people use that. Well, music, but for some reason, and I don't know if this is because I'm a little neurodivergent, but I have to be sad to write. Like if I'm not depressed, I'm not writing good stories, and it probably plays in line with the type of writing that I do. It's not super happy and go lucky, but so I just like get myself into a really dark playlist, and I feel super miserable about life, and I sit there in a comfortable chair with kind of like low lighting, and I have to do a lot of smells. So smells are really big for me.
Yeah.
If a room like is off by any type of smell, then I'm like, I'm not doing anything. So I'll kind of like, I'll get that. It sounds very much like, I'm serenading myself in a way. Like I got to take myself on a date. I got to like make sure I'm fed and then the words will come, because I know at that point that I don't want to disappoint people. So
All right. Second question to that. How often do you find yourself at the strangest hours of the night writing? Because that's the only time the creative juices are flowing.
So if you log on to my NaNoWriMo profile, it's like, I think that it says the times that I write most often is like 2 to like 4 a.m. Like, it's normally like I'm up in bed. I'm like, oh no, I got to do this. Like, it's stressing me out. And I think that that's another thing with stress too, is that I tend to just push it off and try to forget that it even exists, you know, because if I can just pretend that it's not there, I'm not going to stress about it. And then it gets me when I like try to relax because, you know, with ADHD, it just, your brain never really shuts off. And that's the worst at night. So that's normally when I'm like, okay, if I don't, it's like an itch that you can't scratch, right? Like you have to get up, you have to get moving. And that's when the majority of my work does get done.
Yeah, you're speaking to me because I'm the same way. I have tried and I work from home. So I do have a lot of daytime hours. But whenever I try to do creative stuff during the day, I can't. It's got to be dark outside.
Yeah.
It's got to be quiet. Everyone's got to be asleep for me to really access the creative side. I can do the, you know, the data analysis, the accounting stuff and all that kind of stuff during the day. But to be creative, I've got to have the nighttime vibe.
Yeah, you used to ping me at god awful hours from the East Coast when we were co-writing. And I'm like, but it's like 4 here. So it's gotta be, you know, 1 or 4 or 5 here. It's gotta be this time. What the hell is she still doing up? I'm at 11 o'clock to, you know, 11 o'clock at night for me is late, but I get up at, well, it's 7 now. So I'm not as early as I used to be because, you know, I work right here. My bedroom's down there. So.
Mine is big on, you know, the vibes and everything. I feel like, honestly, the type of personality that I am, I'm kind of like, I should live in like the Pacific Northwest or something, you know, just very like gloomy and rainy. And like, you have like the big, beautiful trees. And it's just like, that's where I'm the happiest. Arizona's always sunny, you guys. So like, I'm not doing very much writing out here. When the sun is shining, everybody's happy. I'm just like, no.
Well, nobody's happy in the summer.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, we're all melting. We have like $800 AC bills, you know.
I'm in Vegas, so I'm like right next door to you guys. Yeah. I feel the same thing.
It's miserable. So I mean, what is it out there? Because it was like 88 degrees today, and that sounds nice for some people, but for me, 88 in November.
Yeah, no. At this point, it better be cold. Damn it! I am so sick of the heat.
I need some type of season, please. Not just like hot, less hot, and then hot again.
Yep. Although the nights are nice. I'm glad the nights have cooled down enough to where it really feels comfortable to put a jacket on.
Oh yeah.
But otherwise it's like, oh come on, guys, it's almost Christmas. Why is it still so hot?
It's the worst. And I don't know why. I'm a native. So I was born and raised in Arizona, and it just, my heart is like somewhere else.
Get a water loving plant.
Yes.
I kill plants.
My plants would die.
I'm a plant killer.
You don't see living things. I'm surprised my kids are still alive. I kill plants. You don't ever give me plants to take care of.
I killed succulents, and you know how hard that is?
Yes. Yes, exactly.
I apologize for that. My daughter was calling, and I texted her show, and she texted me back book. I am lying. So it's kind of like, stop.
We call it the weirdest times. Mine does too. I'm surprised mine hasn't like barged in. My teenager, she tends to just show up in the middle of me recording, and it takes a few seconds before she realizes and goes, "Oh, shh."
How dare you have that much alone time? What are you thinking?
Well, last night I was doing Joe's show. I was doing Go Indie Now's news show, and her boyfriend came home. And I guess she had yelled at him, "Shh, be quiet, be quiet." What does he do? He backs up right onto my dog's squeaky toy.
That's my husband 100% of the way. If my daughter, so I have a 3-year-old, and she's a night owl. She's going to be like me. I just have a feeling. She's already kind of a mini me. She has a lot of sass. She does not get that from me though, for sure. That's all my husband. That's what I keep trying to tell him, at least. So every time she's finally asleep. And when I mean like she's a night owl, she will be up at like 8 o'clock in the morning and not want to go to bed until 11 o'clock at night. And there's no, I mean, no naps, nothing. That's just how it is. Right. And I'm like, oh, like Emberly, she's finally asleep. Can you be quiet? And like, even right now, I told him like, hey, I'm going to be doing a podcast. Like, I need you to be quiet. And he's like slamming dishes in there. I'm just like, oh, you are the loudest person I've ever met in my entire life.
Yep. Well, I have
They
the
don't get
headset.
it.
I have the headset on today. Last week I didn't because he wanted to listen in. He's in the other room. Because my husband knew that the author who was on last week, and he's over there asking me to ask questions. It's like,
Well, you know, I did send him the link. And if you are listening in, Jesse, stop being so loud. I can hear you.
I love that. That's brilliant.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
and
Sleep is
Jonesy
for the
says sleep
weak.
is for the weak.
Yes.
Yeah,
We'll sleep when we're dead.
exactly. I got books to write, damn it.
I got mouths to feed, books to write,
Let me tell you,
places to go.
I have Netflix to binge when I should be writing. Okay, like I have a lot of things that are on my to-do list.
Mhm.
Okay,
Well,
okay, we gotta touch on that too, because we touched on the ADHD, trying to make it superpower. But let's talk about all the ways that it just completely screws you, like binge watching a show that, let me guess, if you're anything like me, you have to watch the entire series before you are allowed to go back to whatever you are doing.
100%. So I can't even start a show unless every single episode is out because I will get, like angry if I cannot finish what's happening. And that's why, like, I kind of understand why people are so moody about like cliffhangers with books that don't have completed series because I feel that way. And then I go and I do that to people. How rude, right? So, so I'm like that. I have to finish everything. If I found something really good, and mine are always the worst. I'm like really into the just Discovery ID, you know, like your murder shows. And those are like well-established shows. You have like 12 or 13 seasons. That's ruining my life. But I know everything about murder and how to get away with it.
You need that. That's research.
Yeah, it's difficult. And I actually lately I've been really stuck on rewatching stuff that I've already seen. So it's kind of like a comfort when my mind is going crazy and I just need that, you know, grounding. So I'm frequently going back to Family Guy or The Office or like animes that I've seen in the past. And that's the only thing that keeps me calm, even though the reason that I'm getting stressed is because I'm not actually doing the work I'm supposed to be doing and I'm behind, right? So it's just kind of, it's a double-edged sword.
Yep. I do that too. I'll watch old series as a way to go to bed. I can't sleep in silence because the mind doesn't shut off.
Yep.
And I can't watch anything new to fall asleep because I have to know what happened, so I won't fall asleep. So what I'll do is I'll put on something that I've seen, either 100 times. I know it by heart. I don't have to pay attention because that just talking in the background will help me shut off the internal monologue and I can fall asleep. 100%. But if it's anything interesting or anything new, nope.
Yeah. You can close your eyes if you've seen the episode, 15 times. But if it's something that, even if I've seen it once before and I'm like, oh, I think I missed that, wide awake. Like, what's happening? What's going on? Let me see.
Yep. And then when I'm working, I can't have anything with words playing. So no lyrics if it's music. It has to be, ambient music or like soundtracks I can listen to. But anything that has lyrics to it, I need to know what the lyrics are saying.
Yep.
And so that's a distraction. It pulls me out of what I'm doing.
That's how I am with studying. So we do a lot of exams at my job. And if I have to listen to pretty much just like jazz, but it can't be anything with lyrics either. And it's just got to be background to kind of like shush my mind so I can focus on like, really boring stuff, let's be honest, but stuff that you have to study and like pass. So, but I try to do that with like just some of like my happy-go-lucky playlist, and it's everything's in one ear and out the other. I can't focus on anything more than like just one thing, honestly.
Yep. It's that they call it hyper-focusing as a positive and a negative, but on the positive, when you are hyper-focusing, nothing else is in existence for you.
Yeah.
But the other side of it is you can easily switch gears and all of a sudden now you're focusing on the other thing instead of what you were supposed to. And
oh, absolutely. I have, I hyper focus in clumps, and it's hard on the wallet, because I think that a lot of people will tell you when they hyperfocus, they like want to like do a lot of research, right? Like you research every possible aspect of it, and you buy the best stuff because you're like, oh, I'm really going to do this, and I'm just gonna, you know, I don't know. Part of me just thinks that like capitalism has convinced me that anything that I like needs to be a job. So, so it's like I'm gonna like make this work, and you know, I'm gonna like make income off of this, and it's gonna be great. And then as soon as I have everything set up, I'm ready to go. I'm done with it, and I'm on to the next thing. Right now I'm making beanies. Everybody in my family's getting a beanie for Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, that's my hyper focus. So I mean, they almost just got podcast stuff last week. So
No. It does help, though. On the other hand, it makes you a genius because you are learning so many things so quickly.
I feel like a jack of all trade. And you know, another thing that people will tell you about hyper focusing is everybody has a sewing machine. I don't know if you can see like right here. There it is. Like there's the Cricut. So that was a hyper focus. I have like yarn right here. There's a hyper focus. So I'm jack of all trades. I know a little bit of everything. I'm not a master of anything though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you can't pay attention long enough.
Yeah.
Once you've mastered it to your degree of acceptance, then it's next.
Yep, absolutely.
But they can work for writing, though, because the more that you've researched and the more unique topics you know, the better you can weave them into stories that you're writing. And you can end up with some characters that have some very interesting traits or hobbies.
That's true. I mean, I fear the day that somebody has to look at my browsing history. So like,
we're all on FBI watch lists.
It's really weird. Like, you know, how long does it take our body to dispose? Like, you know, what's the exact color of dried blood? I mean, at least I'm not like testing this like in a theory, right? I'm not like checking it out for myself. Like how long does it take for like somebody to like decompose in water? I need to know these things. Like,
this is important stuff. Yes. It's valuable information
from different arteries that bleeds.
But I mean, I've at least been very careful not to do this research while I'm working, so because I don't need my job to be like, oh wait, hold on.
I might frown on you for that.
Yeah, I don't know how I'd be explaining that one to my boss.
No.
Yeah, I think I went down the rabbit hole this last week on hacking and understanding how phishing scams are created and what coding goes into them and how they spoof their IP addresses. I was just, I went really deep down the rabbit hole for one little tiny scene in a story that I was working on. Not even like a full chapter, just a little itty bitty scene. And I needed to know every single thing on how this worked.
Yeah.
We
because
just went through a whole cyber white belt study that goes through all of that. And there's a resource that tells them about, you know, what are the things out there, how to counteract them and everything like that. And I'm like, oh, this is on the back of my brain. I'm like, you know, one of my characters did hack to all sorts of things.
Oh, see, decomposing the water is quite interesting.
That's right. You have to know these things, even if you're only going to use it in a sentence, you still have to know it to convey it to the reader.
And it changes in your environment. Like, is the water hot or cold? Like, you know, what's the elevation? Are there, you know, is there fish? Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, apparently.
How to make the body appetizing for sharks.
I'm just saying, like, you never know. Like,
That's true. I think for one of the stories that I was looking at, there was an interesting article I ran across about bodies turning up in the spring in the Hudson River because the way the current flows, and if the body was in the water before the freeze happened, that's about the time that it would finally be warm enough to come up to the surface and what it would look like because it's frozen and didn't actually have time to start breaking down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
excuse me while I write this down. Well, and you know what's like so crazy about this stuff is if you don't do that research, somebody's gonna know, and I don't want to know how they know, but that's gonna be the review I see. I promise you, that's gonna be the 1 star. This person didn't even know how quickly this would have decomposed. This was completely inaccurate. Like,
Yeah, the police officers on your list of people, the bomb specialists,
Yeah.
the FBI guys, all of these things, the interaction or non-interaction with serial killers. Yes,
I'm just saying that's all I need is
I
a
have been,
1-star review because I didn't do enough research.
I've been in the
They will
courtroom.
too.
I've been in the courtroom with a murderer. So yeah, that was in my early days of interning at Channel 3. They sent me into the deliberations for the death
Oh, wow.
penalty for
Wow.
somebody. And yeah, that guy is very much in all my villains because he was
Wow.
scary. He had no soul.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. So yeah. And I'm like, yeah, they need to seal him in a tin can and put him in the ocean. But he did get the death penalty. And the other trial, I was like, he's not. No, he doesn't have that look. And he was found innocent. So
I feel like you can tell sometimes. You can just tell, like,
yeah.
how dead or somebody's eyes.
Most of the time you can tell, yeah. Well, let's see.
Oh, Anita says, I belong to a group on Facebook for authors where you can ask questions on doctors regarding injuries. That's important.
That's great.
Yes.
I do have one of my best friends is a doctor, and I am constantly texting her like, hey, like, how would you do these sutures? Like, does this make sense? Like if this was the injury, what would you do to, solve that? And she's like, what are you doing? Like, oh, nothing. Don't worry about it.
I'm a writer. Come on, I need to know these things.
You and Jesse okay? Like, oh, it's not him, I promise.
Oh, that's perfect. No, I used to do the same thing with my brother. I would ask him. He was a trauma nurse. And I would come up to him and be like, okay, I need information on this and what happens here and how would you treat this? And he loved giving me all the information. And then you can translate that again into your story, make it more realistic. Because like you said, somebody who knows is going to be the one who reads it and goes, that was wrong. And then you just completely tear your book apart for one thing.
And even if you do it right, it's going to be done some different way. And so I try to not, worry about those too much. But oh gosh, those are the reviews I always seem to see first. And you're like, oh.
I don't really read my reviews too much.
I need to stop. It's a problem. I just love making myself miserable, I think.
I like to see the number.
Yeah.
The number of reviews.
No, that's good. Yeah, the number going up is always a good thing.
But I've gotten to the point where, yes, I would like a good review, but my skin is so thick it doesn't matter. I've gotten to the point where I don't know if it's age or experience or just whatever, but you get to that point and it's like, yeah.
Well, and it's got to be like a little bit of all.
A good review still feels good.
Mm-hmm.
That somebody's opinion was nice about your book, but the bad reviews, it's just an opinion.
Yeah.
And everybody's opinion varies. So I might make her happy, but him miserable.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. So it's like,
that makes sense.
I like Supernatural and The Boys, and The Boys is really, violent.
I love The Boys. So
and Katie likes Doctor Who, and she hasn't really gotten into Supernatural. So it's just like she just can't, meld with that show the way I do.
Yeah.
Can I just touch on Supernatural in general? I have this really bad and this is probably more towards my grounding, I need to see things that I've seen previously. But I tend to, on some of these shows, go through these phases where I need to see all the death scenes again. So I'll go through and just watch every time Sam died, every time Dean died, and it's just so
sexual. A lot.
I don't watch the entire show again, but I'm just I need to feel this emotion. I don't know. There is something that's so interesting to me about that emotion when it when you've lost somebody, you think you're never going to get them back. It's so real, it's so raw, and and granted, like, these are all shows, right? So, but it's the way that they're portrayed. I really try to take that and, throw that into my writing, because I want that rawness to kind of reflect through my words too. But then also I look like a crazy person. Like my husband, it's like, you're watching just death scenes. Like, you're skipping episodes. You literally Googled it. You have a list of every time this person dies, and that's all you're watching. I'm like, I know.
Yeah, no, Supernatural was my obsession for 15 years. So,
and maybe that's why I can't get into it, though, is because I know there's so much of it I have to watch to catch up, that it's kind of like, oh, I don't have that time to devote to getting through that many seasons. So my brain just shutting off.
At a time,
it's true. I went through like 1 through 6, and then I like took a break, and then I kind of like went through 1 through 6, and then I think that I ended up stopping at like season 10 or 11, so I haven't actually finished the show, but it is a lot. Oh no, don't say that.
Oh, you
I have a book I'm supposed to be writing,
girl. No, that was Dean. Yeah. Not Sam.
About Fate. I'd need to go back, because I just know that Sam like dies first, and I just remember he gets like plunged in the back, and it was great. Like, not as great, because Dean like keeps his dead body for a while, but we're not gonna talk about that.
The heat of the moment Tuesday. That's the one. Dean dies every single way.
Like Groundhog's Day. Oh my gosh, that was great.
Oh damn.
Yes. Anyway.
Well, if you're ever looking for something to give you positive reinforcement, speaking of Doctor Who, there's one scene that they get.
That one.
Oh wait, what'd she say?
This last one.
What?
Yes.
Yes.
Spoiler alert. Sam and Dean dialogue.
I didn't even think it was possible, because like in the first 10 seasons, the amount of deaths that happen, and I also think I'm biased, because I don't really care when Dean dies. I don't know, like I just care when Sammy dies, and I feel like maybe it's because he's like the baby brother, and like there's just that dynamic, and I'm very particular about my deaths.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
The Groundhog Day one was about accepting fate. Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, no. It was Dean, yeah. On the trickster. Yep. Yes. Well,
I'll just smile and nod. Just
well, you said that there was some positive with Doctor Who. I've heard a lot of things about the show. I've never actually watched it, though.
There's one scene, and it is where the Doctor takes Vincent Van Gogh into the future to show him the impact of his work. And it is such a touching scene. I cannot watch it without tears just pouring down, because as the Doctor's talking to the museum curator and asking him what impact Van Gogh had on the art world, he's giving this just beautiful speech about what he did and how his work is so beautiful, and Van Gogh's sitting there in earshot just crying. You can see the look. It's like, it really
That's amazing.
And I can't watch it without tears. It just so anytime you need inspiration, that is a scene you should watch, because if you don't feel like your work is impactful today, maybe in the future it will be.
Man, you guys, I'm too pregnant for that. I would be crying for a long time. That one's gonna eat me up. Okay, I gotta be careful which commercials come on.
Oh no.
And it's football season, so that's been rough on me.
Yeah, no. I have to say this, because we're laughing about Sam and Dean, but it has nothing to do with them. But dreams happen. Last night, I woke up and I was like, what the F? And I'm like laying in bed going, why? Why did I have that dream? I had a dream. I don't know if we were in a haunted house or not, but I was with Ryan Reynolds. I don't know why he was there. I had no idea.
You don't question anything with Ryan Reynolds, okay? It just happens.
I know. And we walk outside, and then all of a sudden he miniaturizes and gets in this like baby blue Cadillac, like looks like a Barbie car, and starts driving down the rock wall that I'm walking by, and it goes up to my waist, and I'm short. and he's driving, and the car in front of him just falls off the wall, and he stops, and he gets out and turns into a spider. And he wants me to carry him across the driveway to the other thing. And I'm like, dude, no, he's a spider. That's it. I
would have carried mini you, but as soon as you said spider,
I'm like, you're a spider. If you were mini you, yes, but you're a spider. And then I woke up and I'm like, why?
what does that mean?
I'm trying to find meaning.
Yeah, I gotta like open up a dream book for that one, because
I'm like, where in the hell is this coming from? Okay, that's just a little, block of my dreams.
I got nothing.
So I mean, I'm just gonna be waiting for your story about Ryan Reynolds, miniature, who has spider powers, like, mini Spider-Man, Ryan Reynolds. I don't know.
It's not furry, but hey. But anyway, no, I have very vivid dreams like you do, and I remember them, obviously. And some of them leave me so confused. And I'm like, I didn't even watch a Ryan Reynolds movie yesterday. So it's like,
I have to write mine down, honestly, like as vivid as they are. If I think that I'm going to remember them, that's always when I'm going to forget. So I need to go and write them down. And if not, then I won't have that same dream for probably like a good year or two later. And I will have like reoccurring dreams, and it will kind of remind me like, oh yeah, like I was really interested in writing this down for a story. And I don't know, like my brain just works so weird.
Yeah, a lot of my nightmares turn into my books.
Yeah.
So, the worst.
That's a good source to pull from.
Yeah, the worst one turned into Georgia Rain. So I don't know, Katie, if you ever read that, but
I don't think I read that one.
You probably won't want to with little kids.
Okay.
So I almost was like, I'm going to read. Oh, you said little kids. Okay.
Yes.
2 pregnant still.
yes, exactly.
Yeah, I used to like, be fine with that, and not fine as in like, it's okay, but like I could stomach it a lot better until I had my daughter Emberly. And ever since I had her, it's just like I cannot stomach anything with children. It just tears me up inside.
Yeah, well, it was my worst nightmare, and I wrote it down, and I stopped having it, so that was good.
Well, that's a way to work through it.
Yes, your kid's kidnapped and tortured, basically. Yeah,
I've always said, like, just as a funny aside to that my youngest, if she was ever kidnapped, they would bring her back with an apology note.
Yes.
And I think anybody who's met my youngest would agree to that.
Yes.
She's just a special kind of strong-willed.
Yeah,
I'm praying for you at this point.
Oh, there we go. Rebecca says now she wants to read it, so apparently she hasn't read it yet.
No, I don't think she's read my Steve Williams series.
Yeah, I couldn't. That is probably one of the worst fears, though, is your children being kidnapped
By a serial killer. Absolutely.
Yeah, no.
Yep.
I will have to wait until all my children are adults before I can read that one.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if that's it. I don't know if that was the book that my daughter read that scarred her, so she won't read anything of my stuff, or if it was Survival Games. I'm not sure which one she read, but she will not. She read Silence because she begged me to write it because it's about my high school years, and that's the only thing she's read. So that's why I'm writing this Christmas story, because she's a Christmas freak. And I'm like, if I write this, will you read it? And she said yes. So she was calling to give me the notes of the first 2 chapters. I'm like, finish it, and then I'll read your notes, and then I'll decide whether I'm going to incorporate it or not.
I think that, I'm big on Christmas just because I'm manifesting better weather in Arizona. So my lights are out just so I can pretend like it's going to be under 80.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it needs to cool down. It really does.
Oh, come up here.
I tried to go back east 2 weeks ago. I was in Georgia and North Carolina.
Right.
and it was colder in Vegas during that time than it was out there.
Yeah, it was hot. It was hot and sticky here, right?
Oh no.
Like, what the hell?
As opposed to, hot and dry. No, we're supposed to get, I don't know if we're supposed to get snow tomorrow. Snow showers. So it's fucking cold.
I'm jealous.
Sorry. I did say
Send
that out
some
loud.
of it our way, please.
just a little bit, just enough.
It's hilarious because people from our area, when it snows or when it rains, you can definitely tell that we are not used to seeing it because everyone's like, "Oh my god, water falling from the sky!"
Stopped on the freeway, like
everyone's at their windows taking video, posting it on social media. Look, guys, water, snow.
Oh my god! I was a very dramatic child. I grew up in Tonopah, Arizona, and it is so bloody hot out there. It's all like, country town, and you have like a general store and kind of like the, this place called the Tin Top, which was like the only restaurant. And so we had an elementary school, and then my high school got built, I think maybe 2 years before I entered high school. So my graduating class was 73 people or something like that. But anyways, I digress. So we lived down a really long dirt road. It was probably about a mile, maybe a little bit longer than that. And my bus couldn't go all the way down. So there was this kind of turn that they would take and drop me off. And I would be walking through the desert, just I would be crying. It'd be mixing with my sweat. And I'm like, God, please just let it snow. I swear I'll be good. It's so hot. And my backpack's hitting me. And back then you wore your backpack really low. So it would hit you in the back of the knees. I don't know why that was a style, but so it's if anybody drove past me, they probably, it was just miserable. I was a hot mess.
Yeah.
I grew up in Connecticut, so I'm in the summer our hairs got kinky because it was so hot and sticky, and in the winter it was cold and icy.
No, I hate the start of the school year because they go back to school in August.
Mm-hmm.
And it is still so freaking hot that we are sweating, dripping sweat just on the walk into the school. Not even walking to school, parking in front of the school and walking in. We're dripping in sweat. It's horrible.
Yeah, I can't stand it. I'm still just as dramatic.
I like Anita. Meanwhile, everyone in Canada is going, isn't that sweet? I think that's no.
I keep a lot of different, pretty much any states that I have, family members or friends, and I keep that on my weather forecast. I have some friends out in Australia and New Zealand, so I keep them on there so I can kind of stay in tune with their time zones. And I, especially during this time, I'm just scrolling to make sure that I'm extra miserable. I think Minnesota was set to snow today. So I think that they were getting their first snow today. I don't know if it actually did. I need to confirm, but it's just, I look at those, and it's always when I'm in the sun's beating down on me. I'm just why am I here? Why have I never made this jump?
No, we're being reminded by one of our visitors on Facebook. What was the topic for tonight? Apparently we've gotten too far.
Writing in all kinds of weather and dreams.
We're extra focused on ADHD, apparently.
There's the ADHD again. We moved to weather and we couldn't get off of it.
Well, because right after that, I turned and I could have swore that my light was flashing. I don't know if it looks like it's flashing, but I'm my house is haunted. So, I don't know if you guys can see that, but I swear I'm seeing it. It's stressing me out.
I saw that.
I don't see it.
There it goes again.
Oh, yes, there it is.
Okay, so speaking of haunted, I found out through Facebook, of all places, that there's a show that I guess is being remade in the US, but originally started in the UK, called Ghosts. And it's the same cast that did Horrible Histories, which I absolutely love. I'm a British TV nerd. And I've been watching that now this week. That's my new obsession, is to watch the whole series of Ghosts because it's adorable. So
what is
you
that
definitely should watch it.
See ghosts?
It's this couple inherits a house that is haunted by ghosts, and they want to turn it into a B&B. and it's this like big manor house, and the ghosts are all insane. They're 100% insane. And the wife in the couple hits her head and suddenly starts being able to see and hear the ghosts. So she's going crazy trying to deal with these crazy ghosts while her husband has no idea what's going on. And it's just so funny.
I actually think I've seen commercials for that.
There's an American version now too, apparently. But the BBC version was the original one. And it's from the same cast that did Horrible Histories, which if you haven't seen that, it's like Saturday Night Live teaches you history. It's so freaking funny.
I've only seen Group History, so now I'm gonna have to check that one out.
Like, it's meant for kids, but honestly, it's so adorable. I really love it. But yeah, the same cast. So I loved the cast, and watching the BBC version, it's like, oh my God, I love this. This is perfect.
I need something to binge watch because I'm too deep in these murder mysteries. So I need to pull myself out a little bit.
Well, so, if you have HBO Max, that's where the BBC version is.
Okay.
And then I don't know if Horrible Histories is still on Netflix, but it used to be. They had all, I think, 6 seasons on Netflix.
Mm. Yeah, no, I have all those things. I waste all my money on streaming services. So,
okay. See, and now this is your new excuse for not writing.
Thank you, guys.
Sorry.
On the writing note, what do you read between writings or read to get inspiration?
Oh man. So I have like a huge TBR back here in the corner. So I've not been doing a lot of reading lately, but I've been trying to mix it up with like popular books on Book Talk, but really just anything that keeps me in that like urban fantasy, paranormal romance type of genre. I love reading that stuff. If I can, I have to go through some reviews to just to find some that like maybe speak a little bit more toward. So I always go to like the bad reviews on books because I find that the bad reviews are normally what convinces me that I want to read the book.
Yeah.
Because everything that they hate, I'm like, I love that. Like, that's what I need. So I've been doing a lot of that, and I do go back and read some of like my favorite books. Like my favorite book is The Outsiders. I'm obsessed with it. I've read it probably like 50 times. I just thought that it was a really great story. I loved like how just heartfelt it was, and again, you know, the death, the dying was good.
The dying.
I try to do that. I also when I read like the oh my gosh, the Lux series from Jennifer Armentrout. So I really like going back to those ones. Those were like kind of what I feel like propelled me into reading more in like my teenage years. And it's just like a really great young adult, like, you know, alien type of romance. And so I go back to like the things that I know already. So it's kind of that same thing.
You know, so lately I've been just, you know, picking up other books from other writers from the groups I'm in, because I'm, you know, I'm posting promos for the box set I'm going to be in next year. And I see these books, I'm like, ooh. And then I read, you know, in one group, they write reviews on them. And I'm like reading it. I'm like, ooh, that sounds really good. I picked up the book and I read, you know, all 4 of them. They're out. And now I'm waiting for the 5th one. I'm like, why? You know, I didn't even look to see it was a complete set. But I devour them. I'm a fast reader like Rebecca. So I devour them in between while I'm, you know, waiting. But, oh, yeah.
I'm doing a lot of beta reading right now. I think that's where a majority of my reading's coming from. So I use like swaps with people a lot and try to go through that. And I love doing that, honestly, because it's normally people that are writing in very similar genres as me. And then like that always inspires me too, especially when I'm reading stuff that I feel like anytime I read anybody else's work, I'm just like, oh, that's how you are an author. Like, you know, like I need to get to your level. So it really inspires me to kind of like kick my writing up a notch. And I love that stuff. So I do a lot of swaps right now in general. But so I was talking to you about having a friend in Australia. So we do a lot of back and forth, and she's so encouraging. BL Callahan. So I love reading her stuff. It's very like high fantasy, but the way that she writes is just, oh, I don't know. It flows so well. She has like these beautiful sentences, and like, you know, when you read something, you're just like, if it wasn't weird to write this down, like try to utilize this in a way, I would, because it's so amazing. And it always is just really inspiring to me to watch how other people are able to put words together and just create this beautiful scene.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm sort of I'm trying to pick different books in different genres that I think I'm going to, head towards. And it's quite nice to see a beautifully written book.
Mhm.
It also makes you feel a little, like an imposter.
Step up your game a little bit.
Oh, all day.
I'm like, damn, that's so beautifully written. What the hell am I doing?
I completely understand that feeling. I think that like imposter syndrome for me is probably the one thing that keeps me back from writing. So, and it's like, it's always in your head. You are your worst enemy, right? And it doesn't matter if I have strangers telling me like, I really love this. Like, I thought it was so great. I'm just like, who paid you to say that? Like, who are you? Do you know somebody in my family? Like,
Isn't that funny how we go to disbelief when somebody says
immediately.
something nice instead of being like, oh, thank you, that's great. No, instantly it's
You're like,
no,
you're lying, and I'm gonna get to the bottom of it.
It's like, why are you
dare you say
pandering to
something
me?
nice?
Why are you
Yeah,
pandering?
how dare you? I want you to go back and do a 1-star review because I know it's trash, like, and I don't know why like we have to be like that. And maybe it's just, part of that creative energy and authors and actually really anybody that's in like a creative field, like artists in general, are so hard on themselves, like so much harder than anybody's ever going to be on them. Like, even if like you have somebody that's going out there and their desire is to make you feel like crap about yourself, they are never going to make you feel worse than you make yourself feel.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I melt when somebody says nice things about it, but it's just like there is the little disbelief in the back of my head, and I'm probably more laid back about that than most authors. Katie will tell you. So yeah, I'll just keep writing. Yeah. I want more sales, but
yeah, if I'm like, raking in more than $3 a month, I'm like, this is success, you guys. I've made it.
I can make a car payment.
I always like seeing it when you get a sale in like another country. It's like, oh my God, my book's gone that far.
That's so exciting.
Like that's almost as good as getting a good royalty check.
Yeah,
I think I like fainted a little bit just because like one of the so I've been trying to get like into TikTok because that's where like a huge shift has been happening. And Barnes and Noble has like each of their stores make their own TikTok accounts, and so one of them followed me and I was just like, do you guys know who I am? Like, I'm nobody.
I cannot get my brain wrapped around TikTok. I know everybody else says it's so easy and it's fun. And
it's not.
For me, it's like it's another job. There's already how many social media accounts?
It's this honestly strange universe to me. And, I'm old and it's strange.
So, Vine was super popular when I was younger. And I feel like because I was so invested in Vine, I never did Vine videos, but it was very similar to how TikTok is, done. So I feel comfortable in watching them. And when it comes to creating my own content, like I pretty much only do, not voiceovers, but they have like the sounds, right? And I just like move my lips to the sounds and like try to make that correspond with something writing related. But like, I don't create any of that stuff myself. Like my brain does not work that way. Okay. I had a panic attack when I realized this podcast was on video and not just on microphones. So I was like, I wasn't
ready. See, for me, this is okay because in my mind, I'm just here with you two, and we're just having a conversation.
Right.
I don't think about what's going on out there, and that makes it easy. And yes, there are comments that come in, but for what we're doing for our interaction, really, it's just me and you guys.
Well, I mean, I'm surprisingly introverted. I know that a lot of people don't believe it because I spend a lot of my energy trying to convince people otherwise. I've had tons of interactions where they're like, no, there's no way. Like you were totally extroverted. I'm like, no, I just work really hard to fit in. And when I'm done with this, I am going to crash out. Like I'm definitely going to bed right after this because I'm gonna be so exhausted from trying to feel normal.
I'm an extrovert, but I'm a quiet extrovert. Well, I don't know. Am I quiet, Katie? No. So, and I'm sort of like a unicorn. in the writing world.
Well, I mean, that's good though, because you can use that to your advantage. I feel like that's also like another thing that I struggled with a lot, putting myself out there and publishing my work is being introverted, not really having almost the capacity to like put myself out there, to market, to talk to people, to talk about my book. Like if you ask me what my book's about, I'm like, oh, I don't know, vampires. Like I don't even remember I wrote it, And it's just because like as soon as I'm in front of people, my brain shuts down and it's just like you guys can't see, but I'm sweating like crazy over here, okay?
I always, even if it's cold in here, I always get a little shiny.
Yeah. I'm just red and splotchy.
I may be an extrovert, but I'm not a public speaker. I don't do well in public spaces. In meetings that I have, I can run them. That's easy. But if I had to give a presentation, I forget words like that. It's just scary. I'll be like,
see, I'm the other way around. I can do a presentation, no problem, with tons of people around. But if I have to do any kind of other communication with a lot of people around, I clam up. I say the wrong thing, stick my foot straight into my mouth. I need to have like that scripted. Here's what I'm saying. You guys are going to listen. It's all good.
I mean, I can definitely read off of the script, but don't ask me to make eye contact. Like, don't ask me to like not shake. Like this is me literally the entire time. Normally my voice is going to be really like shaky and I probably threw up beforehand. So
I had when I was at a writers conference once, one of the agents that got up to speak, I saw her afterwards. I said, how do you do that? How do you make that look so easy? And she looks at me, she goes, I took value before I came. Oh, okay. She said, otherwise I would be like throwing up.
Yes.
I get it.
It's not just me.
Oh, no, that's hilarious. Actually, my husband did ask me, like, are you going to take any of your medicine before you do this? I'm like, you remember I'm pregnant right now, right? Like, I can't just take medicine for this anymore. He's like, oh yeah, well, just hang in there. You're going to do good. And then, I log on an hour early because I don't know what time zone I'm in. And
we forgot. I mean, last week we talked about this and then, I'm just like,
I was stressed because I saw 5 and I'm like, oh, 5's coming up quick and we're not in here and I'm not prepared.
And that is nightmare inducing. It is. You gotta you gotta ease yourself in. You can't just be like, all right,
I really have to. And I went upstairs and I like told Jesse about the whole thing. And he's like, oh, I mean, that's good. You have some more time. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Now I have to go through the whole stress process all over again. It's doubled.
It's so
Hopefully
true.
It hasn't been stressful.
No, it's been wonderful. And like, that's kind of the thing. And this comes with, so a lot of people that suffer with ADHD, their like corresponding symptoms are pretty severe depression and anxiety. So it's kind of like just how the ball rolls, right? So it's like, I'm really nervous beforehand. I'm nervous in the beginning. And then you kind of get warmed up and you get in that flow. And then when it's done, you're exhausted, but you're also so happy that you did it. And I'm the same way with going out. So I'm introverted. I like to stay inside. But if somebody forces me out to go like hang out with friends or something, I'm never sad that I went out, right? Like it's always been like a good experience and I'm happy that I've done it. I'm ready to be home. But, so it's part of my life. I kind of need to chalk it up to me being me at this point.
My favorite introverted moment, I was at a convention with a group that we were all tabling together and we had a great day. We'd, been on it the whole day because you have to be on it. You have to like turn that switch on and be ready to deal with people. And after the day was done, we all got back to the hotel and for a good 30 minutes, we all just sat in place on our phones, winding down, not talking to each other. And one of them snapped a picture and it was like, yep, this is perfect. And nobody had to say a word for that like good 30 minutes. Everyone was just
have to decompress. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm the same way. It's actually the same too when I have to go back for like work trips. I spend a week back east and I am like up, I go to work. I'm like on it, I super talkative and happy, and I'm introducing myself to everybody. And then I go straight back to the hotel and I sleep for like 12 hours. And then I just go and do it again, you know?
Oh yeah, I've gone to conventions or like fall face forward into the mattress when I'm done. Don't wake me up until the morning, and then I'll get up and I'll be able to go again because I know I have to.
Yeah.
But that time is just dead to the world.
And it's funny too, because you're surrounded by people that feel the same way, and it doesn't necessarily make it better. Like, it doesn't make it any worse, but it doesn't solve the fact that that's how you're going to feel.
Yeah.
See, I do this, and then I want to go out and party.
You are definitely extroverted.
It's like at the conferences, I loved the interaction with people, and I just, kept on, and then you'd stay up too late, and, have too much to drink and dancing like a fool, and.
Oh, I mean, so let's just get this straight. Like drunk me is extroverted. Okay. like drunk me has her own name, her own personality. I don't know her. She just kind of like shows up, right? So but she'll be out and she'll be fine. But like, sober me, it's just, this is kind of like who I've always been. And I think it stems from a lot of different things. And then it's, also just, I guess, what I was blessed with or cursed with, whichever one you want to believe.
Sober you has to pay for drunk you's problems too.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there is that.
Yes. So sober me has to get up in the morning and go to the conference again.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't, I can't drink the way I used to. And ever since I had my first daughter, it's kind of gone downhill from there. So it's like one beer and I'm already like, ooh, you better don't be crazy. Okay. So we have like these AZ or mobile medics that come out and they give you like an IV, and they'll do like, all these vitamins and stuff, which really help with that. And so I don't drink very often, but anytime that I have been able to go out and like, it's kind of like my time to try to relax, I always call them up the next day, like, please help me. And like, it's not like I'm drinking a lot, right? So it's like, I'm not going crazy with shots. It's just like a couple drinks, but I can't hang anymore. I don't know what happened.
Age.
Yeah. I wasn't ready. It snuck up on me.
All right. Well, we have come up on our hour. So before we go, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you and your books?
Yes, absolutely. So I am, on Instagram, on TikTok occasionally. My books are on Amazon, but they are also available on Barnes & Noble, the Book Depository. And then you can go to my website, authorbbpalomo.com, and everything's listed there as well.
Awesome. And Jane, anything before we go? Any updates?
2 books in December. Oh my God. One's a Christmas special. A Christmas surprise.
I can't wait to see that one.
And then the third one in the Dragon, Season of the Dragon series.
Wait, is that this one?
Yes. Dragon.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
These covers.
I know. We could talk another hour about that.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, that's it for us this week, guys. And we hope everyone who's out there watching had a great time with us. We'll be back soon with more fun authors to introduce you to and some more crazy conversation. And thank you, Bibi, for hanging out with us today. You were wonderful.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me. It was a blast.
All right. We'll see you next time. Bye,
All
guys.
right, bye-bye.
Bye.